Well, hello everyone, and welcome back for episode number 3 of the BullShooting podcast. I'm Will Stuart of USA Darts Productions. Proud to be joined tonight by a man that sits alongside me on the CSC Challenger Series, a guy from Indiana and To The Point Streaming, a gentleman who runs a school-sponsored youth league as well. That's my colleague in crime, Mr. Sean Green. Sean, how's it going, buddy?
What's up, buddy? I'm so happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me, man. This has been
Oh
awesome
man,
the past couple weeks.
it's going to be a thrill ride here coming up for the both of us with this CSC Challenger Series. I know we've had some exciting times in the last one, and I'm certainly looking forward to this next season. That's for sure. But let's get right into it for you. A guy who's
Yeah, absolutely, man.
been playing around 10 years now. Like I said, To The Point Streaming, kind of your streaming platform with a couple colleagues of your own. And then
Yep.
the CSC Challenger Series, we mentioned that. But NDA, me and you are going to be both doing that one here coming up in April. That should be a fun live streaming event for the both of us in the commentary booth for about, 7 days, 6th through the 13th of April. It's going to be a long ride, but I'm certainly excited. Let's talk to you about yourself. How'd you get involved in the game?
Man, that's a good question. I played poker at my local establishment. It was free poker. And dartboards were in the back. Went back there. It was kind of fun. Got into a medalist league when medalist was still going on. Towards the end of medalist, I think. But after that, it kind of stuck. I fell in love with the game. I've never been a fantastic player by any stretch of imagination. My career highlight is I am a level 5 state champion for singles 01. So that was back in 2015 too. So it's been a while since I've done that.
Hey, not too far away. Not too far away.
Hey, I definitely I became a student of the game. I loved every aspect of it. It's just something that I keep going back to, and I try to learn all the different strategies and be, at least if I'm not going to play well, I at least want to have the knowledge to be like a decent partner, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense, actually.
Hey, so hopefully when I'm talking, most of the time what I say makes sense and doesn't sound stupid. But hey, every once in a while I'm gonna say something that sounds stupid, like tops when it's double 18. It just happens.
Hey, it happens, spur of the moment kind of deal. But we'll get right into it. Let's talk about the Premier League. We're going to talk about the U.S. Masters, the Women's Series. We're going to talk about CSC Challenger Series, and a little bit mention of the Tournament of Champions, which is $2 million plus in prize payouts. That's a hefty little prize pool there. But we'll start right into it. The Premier League, night number 3. Of course, we didn't have a Premier League last Thursday, so we can't kind of mention that one. A little skip in the loop after some COVID circumstances in Germany, so they kind of had to move some stuff around. Understandable. But night number 3, Gerwen Price having a whopping night with 2 9-darters and a 170 checkout. Just some impressive stuff from him. It was 6-3 win over Michael Smith with a 108 average and 170 checkout in that one. 6 for 7 on the doubles.
Yep.
And then it was a 6-5 win over MVG with another 108 average, 9-darter in leg number 5. And in the final, a 105 average and a 9-darter in leg number 3. Some impressive stuff from the Iceman.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, shout out to the format of Premier League now, because it's fantastically done. We would never have 2 9-darters by the same person one night in 2 different matches without that type of format. So it really leads that to you have to be the best player that night, not just against your one opponent, but against all the opponents. It's fun to see that, and it's raising their level of play, I think, tremendously in that type of format.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it well there. I mean, you talk about the Premier League beforehand, before it happened, and they just mentioned the format, and everybody's like, this is going to get dull. No, I don't know if I really like it. Some people liked it, some people didn't. But, I mean, you're really starting to see where this format can really hold its own and really produce some good things. It's been 3 interesting nights here from 3 different individuals. So what could happen after 16 nights of this? I don't know, but I'm certainly interested to see what happens here.
I mean, it makes every game, every match count for more than nothing, because you have to move on in those next legs. And if you don't, Well, you're done for the night, and you're sitting there watching other people play multiple times, and just gaining points on you. You have to win a lot of these nights to be in that top four, because it's going to be it's going to be an interesting thing. I think this is the first year where it really could be any of these 8 players that end up winning this thing. Now, of course, some of them are going to be long shots, like Joe Cullen, but he's shown up too. So it's going to be interesting. I'm a huge Peter Wright fan, and I think that the tournament format fits him, the like one-night tournament, if he's on.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about this. Any of these guys can show up throughout this and have little hot streaks. I mean, Gerwen Price is having one right now. We'll talk about his win today here in a little bit as we get to the Pro Tour stuff. But I mean, we'll take a look at the Premier League table right now, courtesy of the PDC social platforms for this one. So Johnny Clayton out on top of 8 points, getting the one win already in this Premier League, and Gerwen Price right behind, followed by Peter Wright. Those are your 2 other, your 2 other winners on these nights in the Premier League. And you got James Wade sitting in 4th, Michael Van Gerwen in 5th, Joe Cullen, Gary Anderson, and Michael Smith. That one kind of surprises me, Michael Smith at the bottom of the table. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. Gary Anderson is a little bit of a surprise, but with the every week format and playing multiple times per night, I don't think that lends to his specialty of darts as much as maybe the others. Michael Smith is a real shock, honestly. I think that he is just not shown up. He just hasn't been on. Or he's had a terrible draw in the first round, and it's been really hard for him to win. You just mentioned it last week. He had to play Gerwen Price at a 108 average, it's hard to win one of those matches when your opponent's doing that. And it's been bad luck. It's been that mixed with I think he's just right there. It's just not happening. I think he'll move up steadily. I think that you'll see him win a couple of these Premier League weeks for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think you'll see him get at least one. Gary Anderson, no surprise. I think that to me, that's no surprise, him being at the bottom of the table right now. Michael Van Gerwen, it's just been kind of one of them stories for him. He just can't seem to get out of the, little have a good game and then kind of get back into the mid-90s. And when you're playing mid-90s against some of these guys, you're not going to do much, because anybody can produce a 95 plus at any point, even a triple-digit number now. It seems like those are more common rather than rare these days. So, go ahead.
It's just crazy to see these guys interview after matches. I thought the European tour was really cool, because they interviewed them right after and got kind of like their immediate feedback. And it was always funny to see like the guys that were like, ugh, that was awful. I won, but that was awful. And they averaged like 94, 95. And you're like, oh boy, they are just thinking differently than I think they used to, which is really awesome to see.
Yeah, it just shows you the last 5 years, even the last 10 years, how the game has kind of developed and grown, not only here but across the world. So it'll be interesting here coming up for our next night of the Premier League, as it'll be Johnny Clayton versus Michael Van Gerwen, Michael Smith versus Joe Cullen. Listen to this one, Gerwen Price versus Peter Wright. Doesn't that sound familiar? And then
right off the bat.
James Wade versus Gary Anderson. Who do you think is one to eyeball for that night number 4?
Man, I think that there's 2 early matches that are really going to dictate how the entire night goes, and that's Michael Van Gerwen versus Johnny Clayton, because they both, if one of them, whoever wins that's probably going to make the final. I forget who the second one is, but it just seems like getting battle tested like that early on in the night will just allow that person to hopefully control that semifinal match. And then in the bottom, again, same thing. You got Peter Wright and Gerwen Price. The way Gerwen's been playing recently, I know this question's going to come up later, but when he's on like this, and these streaks can last for a while for him, he might be really tough to beat. Honestly, I think overall, week by week he's definitely becoming more of the favorite.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that when he gets in these runs, you're right, he just seems like unstoppable, and it just seems like it's a test of his stamina. They're coming from that rugby background, and I mean, they always mention it, but when you're in that kind of fitness and you get these kind of runs, it's almost just, you're unstoppable. And I mean, apparently he's preparing for a boxing match coming up, which is What? Boxing in
I
the
saw
middle of
that. Yep, I
what?
saw that. And what's funny is people are like taking that and turning it into like a negative thing. I've noticed a lot of people on Twitter, on the Twitter sphere, saying that, but it's a celebrity or it's a charity boxing match. And listen, when you fight pretty much with people on stage every week and they look at you like you're a horrible human being, it'll be nice to be able to at least show them that you can actually box so that maybe they don't actually try to fight you after the match or something.
Hey, with that kind of aggression, I think he's going to be just fine inside the
Yeah,
ring. I mean, I don't think he's going to have any issues at all. I mean,
I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to fight him. That's for sure.
definitely not. Well, moving on to our next topic, we want to discuss the U.S. Masters announcement. Of
Yes.
course, big announcement there, as it looks like we got 4 representatives already from North America, as Jeff Smith, Matt Campbell, Jules Van Doggen, and Danny Baggish are going to be locked in for some
I love that.
MSG action. I do too. I think that's phenomenal. What's your take on that? Just kind of getting a little bit more in depth there.
Well, without going too far into it, I kind of feel a little bit bad for Jeff that he automatically qualified anyway, because I think he made decisions earlier on in the year that might have dictated that a little bit differently. But they all deserve it. There's 4 guys that are PDC pros. They should play in the PDC event that's in the United States. They should play for that North American Championship, hands down. I think if there were 8 Americans on the PDC, which hopefully that happens sooner rather than later, I believe all 8 should honestly have that shot before anyone else. It's great for them. It's great for them to have a real shot in a big tournament. First of all, the North American Championship is huge,
Yeah.
automatic world championship qualifier, and then on top of that, it's huge to have a shot at winning the U.S. Darts Masters, because you saw it a few years ago. Damon Hedda actually won the whole thing. It was not one of the PDC pros that went over there. It was Damon Hedda who showed up and represented Australia, and that actually catapulted him, I think, into success on the PDC. And hopefully one of these guys can do that.
Well, you talk about you, you're kind of right on that aspect of mentioning Jeff Smith. I think that's a big thing that you mentioned there, is kind of him taking that dive and choosing which route he wanted to go, and unfortunately it kind of unfolded a different way than he'd like to, but at the same time he's locked in for a big event, and I think you're right. The implications are huge, because he could potentially lock in a world championship berth, any of these 8 people. And we're talking 8 because 4 are already mentioned, but there's still going to be 4 spots up for grabs. And the PDC announced that with the 2 events being held on May 13th, costing $30 a piece, 2 winners will be given the right to go to the Hulu Arena and play at MSG, and then 2 off the order of merit. So that'll be kind of dicey off of a 2-event order of merit. What do you think off of that?
Yeah, I mean, just think if you're a finalist in that first day, that's a lot of pressure going to day 2. That you're kind of the favorite to get there on order of merit, and I believe that would be kind of how it would work out, unless that person won or got the finalist both days, right? Wouldn't it be the 2 finalists order of merit wise? Wouldn't that make most sense?
I think
I don't know.
Yeah,
It'd be close to that. I don't know if that's, they can have a down day and a good day, I guess.
and
So
that's
that makes
the
sense. Never
reason
mind.
why they want to do that order of merit. But I mean, even still, it could get dicey if you have a 2 semifinalists and they both finished in the top 16 next. Then you got to go to a leg differential. Do you go what goes into there? It's going to be kind of one of those deals that they discuss down the road. But an interesting take I did want to mention here, and this was from Matthew Porter, PDC chief executive, saying having 4 players from North America as PDC tour card holders shows the strength of the sport now in the U.S. and Canada, and it's been encouraging to see the progress which emerging players have made in recent years. So they're from one of the top guys in the PDC say it there, that just it's important to give these guys the opportunity to step on their native soil per se, or native ground, and have that opportunity to play for a big event.
I don't know too many people that would argue against that, honestly. And if they do, I would like to hear their arguments against why those 4 guys aren't automatically qualified. I'm sure a lot of people are a little bit upset that the 2 events they have to go to a special place, in order to qualify for the U.S. Darts Masters. I can't tell you how excited I am for that announcement.
Yeah, well, speaking of, I mean, I wanted to go ahead and get that in here. We'll bring up a slide
Yeah.
here. We did say May 13th. The CDC did announce these dates. And as you can see there, the dates for their weekends are already represented, but we do have some announcements of where these are actually taking place. So weekend number 1 and weekend, it says weekend
It's
number
number 3.
Yeah, so it should be weekend number 3 here. I think they duplicated those by accident. But yeah, both those going to be in your backyard in Brownsburg,
Yes.
Indiana. Exciting times.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, that's not just huge for me because I get to go there and do a lot of stuff with that because it's 40 minutes away from me without having to do any travel. But it's huge for our indie dart community. $30 to get into this. There's a lot of players that are not CDC pros and indie that have some real talent that I think we've showcased somewhat on our on To The Point, but it's good. I'm excited to see what they can do. I think I think they'll be pretty tough. And then, of course, it forces all of the top players to come to our backyard that first week. It can't be like let's just skip this weekend, this first weekend of it. Like,
Yeah.
you have to go.
You have to go, especially with the U.S. Masters implications on that Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
So I cannot wait for that. It's going to be a great experience. And Indy's going to be a good host. We always are. And we're excited to show that, I think.
Well, it'll be American Legion Post 331 in Brownsburg, Indiana, hosting weekend number 1 and weekend number 3. We'll take a look at that schedule one more time. For weekend number 2 and weekend number 4, that's that June 24th and that September 9th date. That's going to be in Canada. It's going to be Cambridge, Newfoundland Club in Cambridge, Ontario, holding weekend number 2. And then the Royal Canadian Legion 551 in Waterdown, Ontario, holding the September 9th through the 11th event. So some dates to keep in your back pocket there, as well as some other ones. How about 4 dates, some special events that were announced. This is kind of cool. The CDC Cascades and Oregon Open. It's going to be May 27th as a set play event. CDC Shootout, the Steel City. At Steel City, it's going to be July 8th. Double in event. That should be interesting. And then
I cannot wait for that.
That's definitely going to be a fun one.
That's a fun one.
We've got the match play coming back to Music City. That should be fun. August 5th. Win by 2 on that one. And then last but not least, the CDC Congressional. I believe it's a new event, September 2nd at WADA, which is the Washington Area Open. UK Open style redraw tournament. Entertaining stuff here from the CDC.
You know what? I absolutely love every aspect of it because it's all different. We need to start doing this more often. The more longer format, creative formats that we can come up with, just the better overall everything's going to be. And the fact that a lot of those are on the West Coast, I think is good for our West Coast starters because they don't get enough love. I don't think on how much travel they tend to do. So although I'm excited about 2 of them being in my own backyard, those extra ones are real exciting too. I think they're on the right track. The CDC is definitely on the right track, and you can see it. 4 pros now from North America on the CDC or on the PDC, and that's a huge testament to the CDC and what they've done. And I think it's only going to keep growing, which I'm so excited about. I can't tell you.
Yeah, the more darts, the better. I mean, we're just getting better and better, and you're starting to see these names come across that nobody knew before in the last 3-5 years, but they're really starting to make a run here and get their name out there, be well-known players.
Yep.
And it's exciting times for the CDC as well as North American darts. So let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and get going into the Pro Tour. As we just had the European Tour, the International Darts Open happen with Jeff Smith in participation. He did get through his first round, unfortunately falling in his second round to Nathan Aspinall. But
you cannot give the Asp a 4-0 lead. It's not advisable. Not advisable.
Even in his current state, I mean, some of Nathan Aspinall, we thought had an elbow injury. He actually released that it was a wrist injury this weekend. But yeah, just coming back and battling from that. I mean, he did have a couple nice wins this weekend. That'll get you in the right step. But just tough darts for Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the fight back was great to see, and that's what you're seeing out of our North American players now is we are scrappy. We're not going down without any type of fight. You're not seeing any like huge like, oh, this is an easy victory for us. Not anymore. That's just not happening.
Hmm.
We're starting to you know be a part of the crowd,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah. We'll see
and it's
Danny.
a huge testament to all those guys.
We'll see Danny Baggish in a European Tour event here soon, so that's something to kind of mention. Now
Yep.
for the big subject, it was almost a turn of the tide here on the first and second ranking list as Peter Wright had the opportunity to clinch the #1 ranking in the world and just couldn't do it. As what an entertaining final, 106 average for both these guys and an 8-4 win for Gerwen Price over Peter Wright in the International Darts Open. What's your first thoughts on that?
My thoughts are honestly, Gerwin Price is showing time and time again that when he is faced with something that he has to do, dart wise, he raises his game. Now that doesn't mean he's necessarily always going to win, but he definitely is now showing a new gear when he needs to, and I think that the potential losing the #1 spot is really causing him to play his best currently, even though he's practicing for a charity boxing match and all that. He wants to maintain #1, and I don't think it's going to happen throughout the whole year. I think Peter definitely, it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth battle between the two because I know Peter definitely wants that on his resume to finally be the #1 player in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Gerwin Price is just, it's going to take a lot from Peter. It's going to take a big performance from Peter to finally do it.
Well, it was a 13,000-pound lead for Gerwen Price before this event. Now it's down to a 6,000-pound lead for Gerwen Price in that current #1 spot. About a half a
Which tells you,
million.
sorry, it just tells you how hard it's going to be for Gerwin to retain that the whole time because he just beat Peter in the finals and then lost a 7,000-pound lead.
Right,
Like,
exactly. That's
it's
the
tough.
tough thing, and not too far behind. I guess we couldn't say in this fact is half a million pounds behind is MVG in that third ranking spot. So well ahead is Peter Wright and Mr. Gerwin Price. So
Yeah,
we'll
and
see.
unfortunately, MVG has the UK Open victory from 2 years ago on his order of merit earnings right now, and that will leave at the start of this UK Open. So that half a million is going to be even larger.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it because that was actually the next topic I was going to bring up. As the UK Open's right around the corner,
Hey,
actually.
sorry.
No, you're good. This weekend coming up, Gerwin Price has got to be a favorite. You got to think, is it supposed to be a 160 player field, but it's a 159 player field. This is probably one of the, I think, besides the World Championships, this is probably one of the biggest majors. I think, just because you got to think of the playing field and how scrappy it is, and these 3 days of action, and just how much you're playing. I mean, it's really a feat to get through this and
Yes.
win. But I mean, you're talking. We're going to have 5 individuals as Matt Campbell, Jeff Smith, Danny Baggish, Jules Van Doggen, and then Danny Lobby sneaking in there on the qualifier spot. You're going to have 5 representatives from North America.
Yeah, Danny stayed behind after the Worlds and played in that first qualifier for the UK Open and won it. And so, yeah, obviously, I'm a huge Danny Lobby Jr. fan. He's also from Indiana. And, I've been in awe of him for years and years as a fan and now as a friend, which is nice. But it's good to see him in the field. I think he's definitely one of those players from North America that probably deserves to have a PDC Tour card by now, but just has not been able to get it done through one way or another. But man, 5 guys in the field, and they're all tough. They're all going to be tough outs. They're all going to be tough competitors. They all can win multiple matches, and I hope that for all of them. I just want to see these guys succeed. They work their butts off. They sacrifice so much that is way behind the scenes because of how much travel they're doing. And it's going to be really exciting to see them when they finally do break through, because as soon as they do, they're going to keep doing it. I have no doubts in my mind that that's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, the sacrifices they make. I mean, we kind of
Yeah.
I mentioned that Danny Baggage had an interview. You know, just talk about sacrifices and stuff, and it makes you feel for like a guy like Dawson Rochelle who was over there by himself, and
Yep.
you know, kind of the feelings on that, and just the pressure you got to deal with, and you're away from your family, you're away from your friends. Yeah, you do have friends over there, but it's totally different than you know your buddies back home. So, question for you, sir: who is
Yeah.
world number one going into the World Championships next year?
I think it's going to be Gerwen Price, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be kind of the same situation we have currently. I think it's just going to go back and forth between the two of these guys. Um, but I think going into it's going to be Gerwen Price, and I just, man, it's going to be so hard for me to see Gerwen Price not be the favorite in the World Championships again this year. Even though Peter Wright has shown that he can perform now in the Worlds, it's man, he scares me sometimes with his averages and how scary they can be and how often he changes darts even after they're successful. Um, I called it early on in that Damon Hedda match, the second match of the Worlds that he played, where he came out with those Simon Whitlock shaped barrels to start off with, and I said, Megan, if I had money to gamble with right now, I'd put all my money on Hedda, because I mean, luckily he changed it after it was a 2-0 lead for Hedda into the darts that actually, you know, he's successful with the night previous. I don't know why he, I don't know why he does this to us as fans of his. It's just, it's something he's never gonna change. And man, it's sometimes you're like, ooh, good, he brought those darts. He might actually do well. And then sometimes you're like, oh, great, here we go.
Well, it just goes to show you, you know, you sit here and think about it. You're like, you know, for years everybody's been using the same set, but really your number two or number one player in the world right now is just whatever he wants to use, he uses, and then your number one player is a former rugby star who's just now a different sport athlete, takes up a totally different sport and produces, and it's incredible. They're changing the game, both of them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I definitely think that it'll be a back and forth battle between these both, between GP and Peter Wright here
Yep.
until the World Championships. But I think you're right. I think Peter Wright will unfortunately kind of start to fade because you know he will just start to do some different things, maybe test the limits on a couple darts, and I think Gerwin Price will be going to the World Championships number one as well. So
Yeah, Peter in the dog days of summer, that summer stretch is usually not a very good Peter Wright on the dartboard. So I think that's where Gerwin's going to kind of pull away a little bit on him, but you just never know. One big tournament win or second place finish, and one of them goes out early on. I mean, that's how close this is. It has not been like this in a long time, and it's going to be really fun to kind of see that battle.
yeah, it certainly will. It's going to be back and forth the whole way. Well, moving on to the next topic, March 12th and the 13th is a pretty big day. The PDC Women's Series begins as events 1 through 4 happen on that one. Pretty big event here because the top 8 on the order of merit after 12 events earn entry into that women's world match play, the first one ever. Just a
Yep.
25-pound entry if you're interested in kind of going over there and taking a stab at it. So not very pricey at all. Kind of, yeah, it's going to cost you an arm and leg to get over there, but you know, people over there, yeah, you know, train ride or something, and they can make it happen for pretty decent amount. Pretty nice to see that in the women's game. What do you think?
Oh man, for sure. And I think that goes for I think anyone who is really wanting to see darts be successful. The women's events, women in darts, hold a huge part in that, and I mean, that's so true. You saw it with Fallon and her kind of explosion over the last couple of years, and we were all ready for that moment and ready for that to happen. And of course, I think I have two favorites that are hands down for the women's tour. I think Fallon has to be a huge favorite, and I think Lisa Ashton has to be the other huge favorite. And I think that everyone else is kind of a step down, and that's just because of experience of playing PDC events, playing against those top players over and over and over again. And Fallon's luckily had that opportunity more so than the other ladies, and I think Lisa has earned that opportunity by, of course, having her tour card and all of that.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting here. You know, you got to mention Fallon, you got to mention Lisa because yes, they have got that experience of playing. You know, I believe Fallon will probably be one of the individuals coming over here for the U.S. Masters, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, I
So
believe so.
that'll be entertaining too. But I think you definitely include those two. You include Adita Hedman because she's been playing well.
Yep.
You know, she has been for forever. I think you're gonna see if they can get over here a couple Japanese maybe ladies
Mikuru.
or yeah maybe
Um,
Mikuru or maybe even maybe not Mikuru coming through. Maybe another Japanese individual because they are very talented young ladies over there in Japan. I think you may see one or two go through.
what is the name of the new superstar over there that's playing darts live stuff and doing great? I forget her name.
Well,
It's a great one-word name if like that's what she wants to go by.
yeah, I think she played in the last women's series actually event. If I recall, I believe they did have a young lady that was playing some impressive stuff. But I think
Yeah.
you gotta. I mean, there's such a talent pool around there. You got Anastasia, you got
Yep.
Raven Stanley. You got so many individuals who could potentially make a run here and get into that top eight.
For sure. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I'm just saying that I think the experience of Fallon and Lisa is makes them the favorites. I think it makes them tougher to beat, honestly.
Definitely.
But it can honestly go to any of them. It's so great to see the talent now that's just taken over in every level. The youth level, same thing. JDC, whew, it's on fire.
That too.
It's crazy.
That too, and I did forget to mention the youth tour that for the CDC. So my bad on that one. CDC tour, they do have a youth event if you want to go, or youth tour if you want to check that one out on their pages while we're talking about youth. But yeah, more about the women's series events 5 through 8, be April 30th through May 1st in Wigan. Events 9 through 12 is June 25th through 26th back in Barnsley. The reason why those are important is because those first 12 events are for that women's world match play ranking for your top 8 that'll play on July 24th in Blackpool, where the men play on the big stage in the match play as well. Winner gets £10,000 and entry into the Grand Slam of Darts. So yeah, get involved if you're interested in making a run over there. Definitely do it if you're a North American player, or even if you're watching us overseas. Definitely get involved if you can. Take that chance, because if you don't take that chance, you'll never ever go anywhere
You'll
with
always
it.
you'll always say what if, at the
Yep.
end of the day. And we have a couple of great North American ladies that could do some damage over there too.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and I hope they take that. I hope they take that leap. I don't know if financially they can or whatever, but I hope they can, and I hope that they do because they deserve that as well.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Well, before we get any further, let's go ahead and give a big shout out to one of our sponsors here. usadartsproduction has a free Grand Cam with a purchase of select Grand boards right now. That's a savings of $55. That's pretty awesome. Can't beat that. So head on over to usadarts.com, purchase your Grand board, and get a free Grand Cam featuring the new Zoom feature.
I
Pretty
love it.
incredible stuff. Yeah, you gotta love that if you're a soft tip player. But alrighty, now let's get into the point that we've been waiting for here, the CSC Challenger Series, my man.
Yep.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a real battle here. We've got some big names in Division One, big names in Division Two, $15,000 in added prize money from Partners Promoting Darts.
Yep.
Man, it's gonna be rocking here starting tomorrow night on the Partners Promoting Darts pages.
Man, I just think back for a second to when we did this for the first time, week one, the last go around of the CSC Challenger Series, when I said Nick Doyle is playing against something like that, and I had to rechange the name to Kenny because, how embarrassing is that? He goes on to win the whole thing, right? And that first night, I don't know what I was expecting, right? But what we saw darts wise was just like I literally jaw dropped to the floor,
Yeah.
excitement of what was to come. Oh boy, these players are just better this time around as well. There's more of them, which makes it better. It's gonna be great, man.
Well, let's get right into it. For those that do not know what the CSC Challenger Series is, it's an all-cricket double elimination tournament, and it's held through a soft tip arachnid system. So that's kind of give you a little background there. There's two divisions. Division 1, which is on Monday night. Division 2 is on Wednesday night usually. And the invites were awarded to the highest skilled player ratings and the top 500 all-star ranking list. So they took 32 players from each or to each division. The format, like we said, double elimination, all cricket. It's a race to 9 wins, so a best of 17 here. Cork,
I love it.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. There's no cork or there's no cork on the last leg now. There's gonna be a no 20 round limit. So it's going to be an interesting CSC Challenger Series this go around. Going to be some back and forth battles between some big names in the soft tip world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, again, I'm so excited we have a sponsor for this one, which is great. Doing giveaways, including have we made the announcement about what's going on tomorrow night?
I think we should go ahead and say that we're going to be giving away a Grand Cam tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the Partners Promoting Darts pages, and that'll be on Monday, the 28th of February. So yeah, definitely want to tune in. If not, catch us on the next one. We'll be doing a lot of giveaways with the A2ZDarts.com. So.
And I can tell you guys, if you've not checked that out before, it is one of those things where you're going to watch it once and you're not going to be disappointed that you took time out to watch the CSC Challenger Series. It is a lot of fun to watch those players because they are the top players of their craft doing top player things. And Will and I get to sit there and just dissect in our own ways what type of strategy they could possibly be doing. We're almost playing chess with them at the same time. It's great.
I was about to say sometimes we can handle it. Sometimes we're just totally blown away by some of the decisions they make, but to each their own. And before we got to get into the bracket here, big shout out to Nick DeShera, our guy behind the scenes on that one. He does a wonderful job with the production, does a lot of back and forth work to kind of bring us in to just let us do our thing and commentate. So big shout out to you, Nick. So let's go ahead and take a look at division number 1 if we should, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're looking over here kind of at the top, right? So you got Brett Hollanday waiting on the winner, Willie Walker, Johnny Lackey in that in their first round matchup, which is that's a pretty good one to start off with for those two.
Appetizing match there, Washington and Texas, I believe. And for those that do not know where this is at, this is on CompuSport. You can find it on the app or on CompuSport.us.com. This is CSC Challenger Series Division 1 we're looking at. And then we got Gerald Rutledge taking on Jordan Meyer. That should be a good one. And then it looks like we're going to be streaming this next one coming up, I believe, correct?
Yeah, so the winner of the poll for night 1 was Brian Dennis and Sean Cafflish. And Brian Dennis, of course, Central Florida, will be playing out of Skybox. He was the 3rd place finisher in our last CSC Challenger Series, and of course, part of the 9 Boom Goes the Dynamites in one leg of darts. I mean, my goodness, what a matchup that was. And then, of course, Sean Cafflish, we have not seen in the CSC Challenger Series before, but from Baraboo, Wisconsin, and I butchered that so hard before we started this, so I'm happy I practiced that. But he just had his 38th birthday on the 22nd, because I'm being creepy on Facebook, and that's how I'm getting to know these players. But he had a lot of support for him with the share to vote on his match from a lot of different people, so I'm sure he is very big in his dart community. And both guys are right around a 5.0 average, so it's going to be a lot of fire being thrown tomorrow, maybe some dynamites going off, and it's going to be a good matchup. I expect nothing more than 9-7, 9-8. It's going to be great.
Liking it. Well, next up, Mike Carter, Hunter Van Beck. I'm kind of excited to see what Hunter's been throwing like, because I've been hearing that name kind of scattered around on my feed for a little while. Christian Lopez taking on Brian Bowling, the man who won it all last time. Kenny Doyle having to take on Mark Rowe. Unfortunate for Mark. He's like, hey, can we get a redraw on this one?
Yeah, I saw that post too. That was great.
Good stuff.
Not for myself, but a redraw would be just fine. Of course, Kenny averaged a 5.31 for the entire tournament last time around, and I mean, he just looked unbeatable at times. And when he was beatable, it was barely, and it was if that person threw ridiculous darts that night. So I'm very excited to see how he is going to defend his title, because there's some people in this bracket that we're going to see. Willie Walker being one of them with a 5.23 average right now in PPD's leagues that are right there. And I'm going to talk about a couple more. And there, we're getting our first look at one of them, but I don't want to skip the Brandon McMillan and Jeff Burning match. But that's Skylar Lapine. And tonight, a post was done showing Skylar's 3 legs well above a 7 cricket average.
Oh, wow.
So,
Hey, that'll be
playing against Mike Maloney in some warm-up matches.
Well, if we that might be the appetizing match for the weeks coming up, as it's going to be Skylar waiting on this doozy of a match between Leonard Gates and Nick Selepic. What do you think about that one?
I mean, first of all, how exciting is it to have Soldier in this bracket, man? I'm, almost got his tour card. I don't know if he would have been accepting of this invite. If he got his tour card, he might have still done it. I'm not sure what that would have had happened, but of course, Nick Selepic is one of the top 6 or 7 averages in this entire bracket as well, so that's going to be a lot of firepower too. It'll be interesting to see kind of how that rolls, but both those guys got a terrible draw in the first round. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. One of those guys is going to have to unfortunately go to the loser side. Rick Hens and Jamie Cope, is that right? Cop?
Yeah, I think Cop is probably how I would say it, but I'm sure we'll ask him. But Rick has been another name that I've heard thrown around a lot.
Rick's a quality shot. I had the pleasure of streaming him at the Triple Bowl in Jefferson, Iowa last year for the King of the Cornfield event. Came out pretty well on that one. Yeah, quality shot indeed. Ken Ripp taking on Lavelle Sterling. That should be an entertaining match.
Yep, absolutely.
Randy White getting a bye.
That's how you do it right there.
Yes, sir. Getting the automatic first round win. How about this one? I think it's going to be a doozy of a match. Ram Rivera taking on Steve Deitcher?
I think it's Diker, but I'm not positive.
Yeah,
but yeah, another match. I think that one was second in voting totals by the end. I'm not positive though. So that would have been the other match that I think we would have gotten had that have gotten the highest vote total. And then John Edwards and Paul Otto. And then at the bottom there, Arian Cole and Ian Hansen.
Yeah, going to be a good first round of Division 1 here. As we're going to go ahead and step on back. We'll go to Division number 2 here so we can take a look here. Pop that open. Zoom in just a touch here and go to the top of the bracket here. It's going to be Jim Nolte having the bye, waiting on Mike Redmond and Jim Tetterman. Yeah,
we're going to go with that. Good enough for me. And then, of course, our runner-up in the last CSC Challenger Series Division 2, Mr. Cody Drager, will be taking on Andy Chavella.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chavella.
Yeah. I'm hoping I'm not butchering any of these. By the way, by the time we get there and we're talking these matches over and like streaming them, we're gonna have all this down. Or at least we're gonna be 2 guys that try our best. How about that?
This is our pre-production try here.
Yeah, there you go. John Pilgrim and Larry Rung is actually our streaming match on Wednesday, I believe. Which that's going to be a little bit of a youth versus experience here.
Really?
John Pilgrim is 28 years old. He's sponsored by Booyah Darts. Of course, you have the Booyah Cup coming up here pretty soon. But he's from Luxembourg, Wisconsin. And Larry Rung is a veteran of the Air Force. Thank you for your service, sir. But he was active from 1986 to 2000 as an air traffic controller. And he is from Omaha, Nebraska. So that's going to be a really interesting battle. I'm looking forward to that one. John, I think the favorite as far as averages go, but you never bet against experience in these things.
It can go either way. Travis Wallace getting the bye in the first round, waiting on Terry Crews or Tito Martinez, an individual we saw in our last CSC Challenger Series.
Yeah, Tito's one of my all-time favorite people that I've been able to meet through this. Just super nice guy. And then I'm sorry for whoever else. Terry, I'm sorry about that. He's not going to make your night fun in cricket. He is not all about making cricket fun for his opponent. And it's fun to watch that, actually, as someone not his opponent when it happens. Billy Myers sitting right there with a bye. That's how you get it done again.
Hey, can't beat that first round bye. Waiting on Mark Mears and Larry Keith.
Yeah, Larry Keith averaging a 4.3 right now in PPD leagues, which is a very high average for this Division II. So he's got to be one of those guys that you're looking at as a kind of a favorite that we have not seen in the CSC before. Jeremiah Berger, of course, veteran to this. And then he's taken on the winner of Todd Wiegman and Christopher Hunter. And then, of course, looking at Brandon Westover there, our third place finisher in Division II of last year. Of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't say, give a shout out to our defending champ for Division II, Mr. Dan Levine, who turned down his invite to play in Division I this time around. I think that was due to the new baby that he is. He's being a new dad.
Yeah.
And he's taking on dad duty, and I love to see that from him as well.
I think
So I
his
want to give him
dad,
a little shout out.
maybe a dad duty, and I think he may have been working or something on a different night too. So big shout out to Dan, our last CSC Division II winner. Big shout out to Woodchucks too. How about that? Woodchucks,
Yes.
that bar he played out of, great stuff. You gotta love
Yeah, that
those
was
bars.
wonderful.
Quite the sight to see with all those people just hanging out there for his big win there. So here we
Yeah,
go.
no, that was so much fun.
Chris Watson taking on Ryan at Crawley.
Yep.
Brent Baker getting the bye, and he will be, wrong, waiting on
I
Corey
do that every
Jensen.
time.
Oh, man, that little zoom button gets me
Yep.
every time. I tell you what, waiting on a good match here between Corey Jensen and Tommy Campbell. That should be an entertaining one.
Yes, for sure.
Tommy Campbell, a guy that towers and just like reaches to the line and just can touch the bullseye with his finger from the line. I bet you it's just nuts. So that should
It's
be a
unfair
good
to have
one.
that type of advantage.
Jimmy Sullivan waiting on Brian Smith and Jamie DeGroot. So there is your CSC lineup. Definitely exciting stuff. Some big names. And both those divisions should make for some dicey matches. And then you talk about the averages. I mean, your averages for Division I are pretty. I mean, yeah, you have a couple, like Leonard or Kenny that are out there, but then most of your ones are stacked pretty close together.
Yes, yeah. After you get through those like first 5 or 6 that are kind of in their own tier in that 90 plus rating range, it is a very close from that point down. And then Division II, you want to talk about averages being close. They're all within, I think, five rating points. When we're talking 73 to 78, I mean that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, you're gonna have some really barn burner matches here, and I mean there's gonna be a lot of boom goes the dynamites from you. I know that. There's gonna be a lot of wows for me because I don't know what else to say, but that's just how we go. It should be a fun CSC Challenger Series, and definitely don't want to miss out. Partners promoting darts pages. We got the Twitch, we got YouTube. I think we've got basic Facebook as well. Definitely tune in every Monday and Wednesday night for these Division I and Division II matches. It's going to be entertaining. It should be an entertaining one for quite some time, maybe a couple months. I'm looking at the calendar, so yeah, want to make sure I'm right there.
Listen, man, I've missed you. I've missed this. I've missed just being able to talk darts with you. It honestly it's been a really lonely couple of months without you. Every Monday and Wednesday, it's almost like I get torn away from my family for a couple months. You and Nick are absolute pleasures to work with, and it is a testament to this thing growing so quickly. Is just how hard Nick works behind the scenes, and thank you for just letting me be goofy and weird and myself and yell out "Boom Goes the Dynamite" every once in a while, and for some reason people accept it now.
Well, that's the thing. When we do our broadcast or whatever, or our commentary, yeah, we like to lay out some good some good in-depth what are they thinking here? Some strategy talk, some kind of that. But we also like to try to have fun. That's one thing, and keep you guys entertained. And every once in a while we'll pop up some images that are kind of funny. Those were good last year. That was something else by Nick. But
again, I just can't. I need to shout out Nick for picking a picture where I was skinny.
Good shout out to Nick there for picking that one. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things you don't want to miss out on. You want to tune in. It's going to be some great matches, some entertaining stuff, and it keeps us entertained. That's for sure. We have our fun, and then we have fun well after that too. I think we're on our chat for an hour or 2 hours afterwards sometimes, just goofing off and chatting about the match and stuff. So that's always fun.
Yeah, it's always something where we can discuss for. Man, you could have made this podcast a 3-hour long podcast. we would be probably just fine doing that. The stuff I'm telling you, one of these years with the CSC, if hopefully we keep to get invited to do this throughout our entire time together, but we're gonna have to do like a behind the scenes bloopers of like where they can see, because I stare at you the majority of the time when I'm watching the darts to see your reactions to things, and we do throw in some little inside jokes that try and make each other laugh too.
Well, thanks for telling me that one about the about watching me now. I'll be making sure to watch my funny faces and what I do in the background.
It's great. No, it's great. And Nick, of course, behind the scenes is hilarious. I love the fact that he puts his own camera up there every once in a while, because his reactions are even better, especially because he has all those Skybox Tavern players that he knows personally that he roots for behind the scenes.
Them Florida people that love to tune in.
Huge shout out to you, man, for inviting me to NDA. I'm excited to meet a lot of the players that we've had the pleasure of talking about and go over things with that I would not have known, honestly, without the CSC Challenger Series. I would have met them anyway in Vegas if I would have been there playing with the CSC Challenger Series this time around. But it's been an absolute pleasure to know everyone. I'm all about players and getting to know them, and it's been great. And thank you for that opportunity. I really appreciate it, buddy. More than anything.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be so great.
This should be a fun time. But, this is kind of all the precedent. This is all kind of just setting up. The CSC Challenger Series is setting up for this major event that happens in October. I think me and you, we might be there. We may be there. We may not be. But it's going to be Tournament of Champions. How about this? A $2 million+ payout.
So
wow.
crazy.
Wow. Isn't that just ridiculous? Yeah, it's just going to be insane.
How are people not actively just seeking out wherever they can get points for PPD at this point in time with over $2 million of payouts? That's a non-existent thing anywhere, except for like the World Championships.
Well, your top prize in some of these singles events is $20,000. I mean, that's some life-changing money right there that just can happen from playing darts, and there's gonna be some big names. I know we've had Boris Kretzmeyer in the past. We've had Jeff Smith, Darren Webster. It's just there's so many big names that have participated in this thing.
I remember that juxtaposition of Darren Webster playing against Boris Kirchmer a few years ago on the same board. I remember seeing some of those images online. Because Boris is like 6'9" and built like a brick truck. Solid muscle too. That's the scariest part about him. And then you have Darren Webster, who, isn't he's height challenged, but of course he'd probably win a fight against most of the people around, I'm sure, as the Demolition Man. But yeah.
Lucky enough, we have some of that content on our page because the guy who ran USA Darts, the OG of USA Darts, Mr. Kevin Malenfant, actually did the production for a lot of those stuff. So, yeah, we'll probably repurpose a couple of those things, get them out there again with Boris and Darren so that you guys can see those interviews again, kind of relive those. I know that I think Boris had a perfect game too that we have on our platform. We'll put that out there versus Tony Martin. That was a good one. So yeah, some stuff to look forward to for the coming months. You mentioned NDA. We have a couple events coming up that I did want to mention for future events and stuff. For Steel Tip, of course, this weekend. Probably some people coming home from these events. You got Youngstown, Port City, Camellia, and then West Texas Shootout all happening this weekend. That's 4 $10,000 plus ADO tournaments. That's awesome.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
That doesn't
And
happen very often.
nope. And again, you love to see those types of things. I remember last weekend, I think there were 4 different streams from content creators like yourself. You were doing something last weekend, correct? Where were you last weekend? 2 weekends ago? Was
I
it
think
last
the
weekend?
last stream for us was Las Vegas Open. So we
Okay,
did
so
we
it's been a little bit actually.
yeah we did the we did our last podcast or a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably
Okay.
what it was.
I gotcha. My goodness. And then, we had Indiana State at the same time
Yeah.
as Bearded Dark Eye had Grand Rapids, I believe.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there was a lot of great streaming stuff going on. It's wonderful to see all this happen. I think it just grows darts more. The more we do that, and the more we get together, and do stuff like this, I think is always going to be huge.
Yeah.
And that's why we're the producers promoting darts.
There we go. There we go. Well, next up, ADO, Early Bird, and the Missouri St. Patch is a WDF tournament. It's coming up next weekend. Virginia Beach coming up at the end of the month of March. Something to keep an eye out on. For Soft Tip, Partners Promoting Darts daily remote tournaments are always happening. You want to check those out.
Yes.
BullShooter is in Nebraska, March 11th through the 13th. And then the next PD All-Stars Triples is going to be March 19th. So mark that date down. Should
That's
be some
50
fun.
points. 50 points to that All-Star rank list, I believe.
That's big
if you're
stuff.
qualified for it. That's
Big
huge.
stuff.
That's a lot of points.
For USA Darts, our next tournaments are going to be Oklahoma Throwdown this weekend. So tune in for that coverage. Soft Tip event from Shawnee, Oklahoma at the Grand Casino. Should be a fun one. And then it's going to be the Booyah Cup, March 18th through the 20th. Ryan Mooningham will join me in the commentary booth for that one. Some amazing shots. I'm going to be participating in that event. And I'll be darned, I forgot our NDA one. I should have threw that in there just for you, but we're still a good month away at least. So I figured.
No, I haven't counted down the exact seconds to when I'm getting on a plane to head to Vegas. No, not at all. Not from Indiana in this weather. But man, that Booyah Cup definitely does have some big names in it, including I think 4 at least CSC Challenger Series players.
There's quite a handful. I mean,
yeah.
I know that some big names to mention. I know that Chip Anderson is in off qualifiers. Chris Lim is in. Leonard Gates is in. Jeremiah Millar is in. Mike Maloney's in. Ken Ripp's in, who was in our chat. There's so many.
Skylar Lapine won the first one. Rick
so
Hens.
many. We can just keep going. There's so many individuals.
Right.
16 winners and then 16 qualifiers. So yeah, it's going to be quite a battle in Wisconsin in the middle of March. I'm excited to be there.
Yeah, and honestly, guys, if you have not played one of those qualifiers, play in one of those qualifiers. My great friend from really, like, probably one of my closest friends in darts played in the qualifier last night and made the finals against that crazy field. And he's an unsponsored player who,
wow.
You probably wouldn't mention the top 10 players without knowing him in Indy, and he can throw some fire sometimes, and he threw great last night. Apparently, he had some legs that he should have won that he lost, but he's an up-and-comer, Jacob Cook. So
that's awesome.
Put him on, and making the finals. That might be good enough for it'd be up there for that order of merit. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I think there's still one qualifier left here. If you want to participate, definitely go to the Booyah Cup Facebook page and check that out. Get involved because there's lots of darts to be had. We got a full shelving of tournaments coming our way this year, so I'm excited. I know that you're excited to join us at NDA. I'm certainly excited to have you there. It's gonna be an awesome time. So it's gonna be
great, man. I do want to, if it's okay, I just want to shout out.
Yeah.
We usually don't do an announcement like way ahead of time of a lineup for one of our seed shows, but Tuesday, March 15th, Larry Butler and Seth Stefano are coming over from Ohio to play against Danny Lobby Jr. and Tim Neal, who's one of our partners on To The Point Streaming. Really good dart player from Indy too. So that's March 15th at 8 p.m. On our seed show. That's
awesome.
a Tuesday.
Awesome. That's going to be a doozy of a match there. Quality
my
shots.
Goodness.
That's some quality shots.
Blessed to be able to ask those guys and for them to accept it.
That's good to hear because, yeah, Danny, we kind of mentioned that. We didn't know if Danny would be back quite in time or not because he's going to be at that UK Open. But, yeah, good for you guys. That'll be a good one for sure on To The Point streaming. Definitely want to check that one. And you said March 15th?
Yep, March 15th. It's Tuesday, March 15th.
Alrighty.
And, man, thank you so much for having me. I'm telling you, this is awesome what you're doing. The BullShooting podcast. I love the name of it, too. We just bullshooted. We just bullshooted for like an hour, man. That's all we did.
That's it. It's just kind of a fun, catchy one. I thought, if you can do some darts banner and make it fun and entertaining, but also include the stuff that you want to hear, that's what's great. So you can always check this out visually on Facebook or YouTube, and then you can always check out an audio version on most of your major platforms for podcasting. So definitely we get that out usually the next day as we cut that audio and put that out for all you guys to hear. If you want to.
There you go. Cut out all of my parts because
cut all that ugly faces part. We just cut that off. We just keep it to the audio version. So yeah, you can always check that out on your major podcast platforms. So
I did think about losing weight for Vegas, and that's what's important. I thought about it. It was the thought that counts.
Cut that. If you cut 1 pound, it counts. Counts a lot. So there you go.
Oh, I don't know if I've done that, but
then you earn them back. You earn them back at the buffets down the road.
Brother, I cannot wait. We got CSC action starting tomorrow night, and then you get to see my lovely face twice a week. I know you're so excited for that.
Oh man, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for tomorrow night. What time do we start tomorrow night? Reminder for me as well as all
it
of
is
us here.
8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern.
There we go.
Partners Promoting Darts Facebook page, Darts TOC on YouTube, and then I believe it's PPD_North America or Darts North America. Yeah. On Twitch, I believe. But Brian Dennis versus Sean Cathlish, and we're a couple 5-0 averages in league are probably going to throw above a 5 for the entire match, race to 9. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great opening night, man.
Don't forget that Grand Cam giveaway from A to Z Darts.com.
Yes.
Check it out tomorrow night on the Partners Promoting Darts pages. That is going to do it for Will Stuart and Sean Green for BullShooting episode 2. Episode number 3. Join us for our next one here in a couple weeks, as I think we're going to be having maybe Jen Mounts and Dax Munna on for a little... we're going to have Ryan Mooningham on before our Booyah Cup, and then we might have Jen and Dax on for a little NDA warm-up. So should be pretty fun.
Shout out to Jen Mounts, by the way. She made a Boom Goes Dynamite jersey look cool, and that is why any of them sold. It definitely was not me, but thank you so much for that, Jen.
Yeah,
and Will for the idea. That was really awesome.
She's good. She's good. She's a woman of many talents. But
yeah.
Alrighty, y'all take care. Have a good one. We'll see you next time on BullShooting Podcast. Take care, y'all.